Okay, shall we do the top fives?
Go on then, because we want people to need to go to their bed.
Yeah, okay.
They'll be listening to this. They've gone to bed. They're lying asleep, nearly at the point between awake and sleep. And I think I'll listen to the Good Bit podcast just to see, because they're talking about music this week. I might enjoy that. And with the dulcet tones of Chris and Uncle Ian.
Uncle Ian.
I'm just making up shit until you speak.
I've got it. Okay, cool. I was just
Okay,
quickly
good.
noting it. So am I doing all five of mine right now? Or am I doing five and five?
Oh,
and
let's
four
do
and
it
four?
turnabout,
Turnabout,
in
okay.
honour of time gone by.
Okay, cool. I have two from the same franchise. Is that okay?
I don't care what you do.
Okay. My number five then is the classic Star Wars theme, the original Star Wars
All right,
tune
all right.
would be my number five, mainly because of the absolutely iconic fashion of it and sounding of it, but also just because I've heard it so many times in my life, but you still are quite happy to watch that opening scroll because that music is adding to it.
Good.
Yeah.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars, the whole thing.
I mean, there's so many though in Star Wars.
See, I'm used to albums, so the whole score's in for me. You know,
Yeah.
that was my number. What? Can music be iconic?
Of course it can.
Can it? I thought iconic was a visual thing. What's the equivalent of iconic for audio?
It's like a go for you.
There you go. That'll keep eye on it because I don't know. If
Come back
it
to
is.
this in 17
Don't
minutes.
know- I don't mean that Iona's not capable of finding it. I wasn't meaning that. I suddenly realised, oh gosh, that was a bit
Of course it's iconic. It doesn't have to be a visual
No,
thing.
I don't think it is. I think iconic has to be a visual,
So what would be the substitute?
recognisable thing.
Okay, well,
Maybe
give
it is, I
us
don't
your
know.
number five.
My number five, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, yes. Very good.
You've
And
got to
Bad
have
and Ugly.
Sergio Leone in there
Yeah.
because it's, I'm not going to say iconic, but it's so
Recognisable. And,
recognisable and sums up an entire genre.
absolutely.
And is and not only a genre, but an actual director. It goes with Sergio Leone. That's something.
The West
To be a
of the
director
60s.
that has a music score that
Right.
sums up your collective work.
Your whole life.
You know, I heard another great film, Sergio Leone. There's another one of his films had a fantastic score. It's not in my top five, called Once Upon a Time in America, and the music in that film's stunning.
Yeah.
Ennio Morricone. It's beautiful stuff. Ennio Morricone deserves to be on the
Absolutely.
list, but he's not there.
Seven
for me.
Samurai,
Well,
Yojimbo. Absolutely.
Anywho, yeah. What's your next one?
My next one, I was just thinking when you said Once Upon a Time. What did you say? Once Upon a Time in what? What did you say?
Once Upon a Time in America.
Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah.
I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the
Oh, yeah.
Tarantino film. But then I thought about Pulp Fiction. I don't have that on my list. But again, Pulp Fiction is a selection of songs from that era. But you do have that opening, I suppose.
it's
Dum,
wonderful.
dum, dum,
Yeah,
dum,
yeah,
dum.
yeah.
So epic, but it's not my top five.
okay.
My number four would be Back to the Future.
Ah, nice.
Is
Is that John Williams?
it's John Williams, yeah. And I don't know why.
You're
I think
right. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
absolutely.
Da-da-da. Yeah, it's great.
I think around 2011, 2012 sort of time is when I decided, okay, I'm now fully going to immerse myself in films. Right, it's when I
Okay.
kind of started really getting
You
into it.
converted.
I converted. I was always into it all my life, but I always kind of I'd come and go with them, whereas I was fully involved. And it's through doing YouTube videos and stuff like that I kind of started getting into them a lot. And around that time was also when I started collecting movies and DVDs, Blu-rays, that sort of thing. And the Back to the Future trilogy was when I got then, and I kind of decided this is going to be my new favourite franchise. And just around that
Yeah.
time, I watched them all the time. It was my I hadn't seen them before. I was studying them. The only time I'd seen them before was I studied it in English class in school. Back to the
Okay.
Future. Thinking about that now. We've got to write an essay about Back to the Future. It's crazy. I'm very jealous of my previous.
You could get a degree in it.
Or get a DeLorean and go back and
amazing.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so we did that. Really enjoyed Back to the Future. So when I hear that opening of that music, I kind of think back to that time.
Yeah, it's
So
cool.
not only does music remind you of the film itself, but also the time
Absolutely.
of your life.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
a
yeah,
playlist on Spotify that I play all the time in the car. It's just for a classics playlist, and that can mean anything, lots of different things to a lot of people. But I was asking this before, why is this song, this really random song from 2000 and whatever, in your classics playlist? Surely classic means song from the 70s and 80s and stuff. But I mean classics in terms of, does it take you back
Yeah.
to a particular moment in your life?
Absolutely,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That can be from any year or whatever. So Back to the Future, that score, I have a bit of an attachment to, because of when I just started kind of being obsessive about films as much as I was about wrestling or whatever before. Is that score for Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So that's my number four.
great. And it's a brilliant John Williams one.
What's the equivalent
Yeah.
of iconic?
Well, like, so just as like iconic, it's obviously just like your normal, but with like not biology, that's not the right word, but like the scientific, I don't know. Iconic memory is sensory memory from visual input. Echoic memory is sensory memory from auditory input.
Echoic.
Echoic. I've never heard it before in my life.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
No pun intended.
Echoic.
So,
It's just a guess.
But if you said that to someone, though, they'd think, what are you talking about?
You'd sound like a total wanker,
This is,
wouldn't you?
They would think you were
I'm
saying
gonna start
iconic
using
wrongly.
it. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad I know that. Thank you, Iona.
Yes, thank you. Every day's a school day on the Good Bit Pod.
Yeah,
That's
brilliant.
practical.
My next one.
Yesterday.
My next one's by Elmer Bernstein.
Not Leonard Bernstein.
No.
No.
Leonard Bernstein's not on my list, although he's one of my favourite
I know that's what I was
people.
going to say to you about.
But he's not there because he did musicals and stuff, and it's not the same. But Elmer Bernstein did a theme that is hands down again one of the most fantastic, recognisable themes. Maybe not to you youngsters, and I know that in post you're going to start playing it already, and it's playing right now, and it's fantastic, isn't it?
It's great. I love it.
It's brilliant, and it's the Magnificent Seven.
Oh, yes, of course. I do know that one, yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a bit like The Big Country. I always used to get it confused with that one, which is a very old cowboy film. But cowboy films in general, my dad used to watch a lot of them when it was okay to watch lots of cowboy films.
Yeah.
And so I saw them because he watched them. But the theme tunes were amazing. And the Western, some of the Western soundtracks are incredible. And there's a kind of Western soundtrack to the film Zulu as well, which is clever, I think, the way that John Barry did that. But anyway, back to Magnificent Seven. It's one of those themes, when it comes in, it lifts you into the next chapter of the movie.
Yeah.
And there's so many different themes. It's like Star Wars in the sense that there are different themes
As
for
the movie
different parts of
progresses,
the movie
yeah.
that signify different things and characters. I just think it's an incredible storytelling theme, apart from being quite heroic,
Yeah.
in a foolhardy way, being heroic, because it's kind of wistful. It's a great piece of music that you should actually just divorce it from the film and just sit and listen to it. And the way it works, I don't know orchestras terribly well. Technically, I'm not never been in an orchestra or a
Yeah.
conductor, but from an appreciation point of view, it's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
You know? So.
What did you make of the newer Magnificent Seven film?
I watched it. I
wasn't
liked
the
it,
biggest fan.
but again, it's just a western. If it doesn't have that theme,
It doesn't. Yeah, it's taken out of it.
it's not the same. No, it's not the same. It didn't
Yeah.
work in the same way because it didn't have the same. I don't know. The simplicity. Things are always a bit more complicated now because they need to be more complex, or we have to explain the villain or something like that. Whereas it was heroes and villains.
And that was it.
To coin a very good Beach Boys song, but very weird.
Yeah.
It's heroes and villains. It's simple in that sense.
Okay, my number 3 then
Okay.
is Home Alone.
Oh, right, nice.
know the Home Alone?
No, I've never watched it.
What?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
You never seen Home Alone?
No.
I can't believe it.
I was thinking about doing a watch-along video
This Christmas.
this Christmas, but I'll have to wait till next Christmas. I'll do it with Iona.
We'll do it on Twitch.
Yeah, aye. Yeah, have you seen it?
Stream it live.
Aye.
Yes.
Oh, well, you can guide me through it then. Yeah.
Home Alone is one of my all-time favourite movies, and my top 5 favourite movies of all time.
All right.
The first Home Alone, and the score, does it make it? I think so, because it's one of those ones that continues to come back throughout the film, because you notice the danger that Kevin McAllister's in, and it is obviously funny and a really beautiful film, but there is a sense of danger there. And when I was a kid watching this film, one of the worst and most scary thoughts was your house being burgled. Right?
Yeah, right. Aye. Yeah.
So it was really scary. So hearing that song reminds me of my childhood, and it reminds me of Christmas.
I think these are great reasons for.
And
and you're, I totally agree. Yeah, I could say the same for my choices as well.
yeah,
Definitely, because they all have an aspect of nostalgia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not a Christmas song, because obviously when you hear a Christmas song,
Yeah.
it's, reminds you of Christmas. But like this song itself, along with other Christmas films, like
What is it? What's it called? What is it, the song? Or do you know who wrote the music for it? Because I
it's
don't
John
know.
Williams. It's
It's
John
another
Williams.
John Williams one.
Yeah, yeah. So Carol of the Bells is one of them. I'm not getting you on it, Iona. I'm not getting it on my phone here. So the main title was called Somewhere in My Memory.
Yeah.
And it's from John Williams and the Boston Pops Orchestra. But there's plenty of other ones. It was a full score, obviously.
Yeah.
There's versions of White Christmas in there, Carol of the Bells, as
Yeah.
I was saying before. And then there's the moment where, not to spoil the film for you, but there's a moment where he's preparing for the burglars to return to his house, and the music kicks in at this one moment in the film. And when I was younger, I had it on VHS and I had it on DVD. And I would always ask my parents to skip to that moment, because that's the moment the film really kicks in, and it's that part of the music.
Yeah.
You know?
See, you could argue it's the same plot and premise. I've not seen it, but it's the same plot and premise as Magnificent Seven
Yeah.
or Zulu, where you're facing overwhelming odds who you know are going to attack, and,
You've got no
and
chance.
you have to try and defend yourself.
Yeah.
They use a bit of that in Skyfall at the end as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. So you're very John Williams heavy.
I know, I didn't do it on purpose.
But that's
I think,
okay. I'd be John Barry heavy, actually. I'm purposely not being, because I would have been embarrassed.
Well, if I'm honest, I think the other two are John Williams as well, without even thinking. So.
Okay. But Star
not
Wars.
conforming to anybody.
I've already said Star Wars. They're in my list. Okay.
Number 3.
Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah. And
Opening
title. Actually, I'm fonder of I love the Vader's theme particularly, and because it reminds me of, this is going to sound incredibly wanky. People are going to think, and quite rightly, they're going to think, what a wanker. He is. But I'll prove it, actually. It's okay. Are you a wanker if you can actually go, but I can cite an example? Or does that just make you a boring old fart?
It might make you a nerd, but I think we've embraced it anyway.
Completely,
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I've leaned into that.
Yes.
Yeah. But the Darth Vader theme reminds me of Gustav Mahler's music, particularly his Third Symphony at the very beginning, which blows my mind.
Yes.
Particularly when it's conducted by
Bye.
Leonard Bernstein.
Oh, really?
Even I got that.
Setting you up for that there. Leonard Bernstein. Yes.
God, no podcast is safe.
Yes. Wait,
Yeah.
so,
No, it's true. You could listen to the
Really?
opening bars of Mahler's Third. You're probably going to put this in post, aren't you? I don't know.
probably. Well, Mahler's Third is in Maestro, right? You mentioned that before in the film.
No, it's the second.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not in Maestro at all. The third, no, but it reminds me of. You can hear echoes of it, and
Yeah.
John Williams has sort of borrowed that a little bit, which
Yeah.
is great. Superb. So, what's your number?
Great. My number 2 is another Star Wars, and it's Duel of the Fates from The Phantom Menace, where
With the choir.
with the choir,
Yeah, it's great.
Darth Maul is standing
Yeah.
there, and spoiler to those who have not seen The Phantom Menace coming in.
Yeah.
But Qui-Gon Jinn has been
Yeah.
not
It's
killed yet,
fantastic.
but he's been stabbed.
Yeah.
And there's these barriers stopping Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor.
That's one of the best bits in the movie.
It's one of the best bits of the whole franchise.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi standing
Yeah.
behind these barriers. Darth Maul's there with his double-sided lightsaber.
Yeah.
And Duel of the Fates kicks in, and
Yeah.
it's all about the fate of Anakin. It's like he's fighting for Anakin's safety.
Mm-hmm.
The duel of the fate of this wee boy. I think there's an argument to say a lot of people kind of prefer this one to any of the other Star Wars songs.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Because it comes up a lot. It's used a lot in memes.
It was
and-
used lots retrospectively as well, later films as well.
Absolutely,
wasn't
bring it
Yeah,
back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's also
Yeah.
honourable mentions to some of the newer ones. There's some beautiful songs in The Last Jedi. Rey's theme to introduce the character of Rey is amazing. Really reminds me of that time in my life again. And also the song they used where Anakin and Obi-Wan are having that fight in the end of Revenge of the Sith. And I think I just searched on Spotify, and it's just called Anakin versus Obi-Wan, but it's with the fire planet.
Yeah.
Those would be honourable mentions, but the main theme I'd say Vader's theme as well, and Duel of the Fates would be my favourite Star Wars songs.
No, I think it's a really
There you
good
go.
show.
Aren't we cool?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Have you ever seen the somebody did a 3.5 hour 4 hour cut of the 3 prequels?
They made a cut of the three of us.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube.
Might be good, yeah.
It was on. It was excellent.
I saw on YouTube the transition between the end of Rogue One and the start of A New
it's
Hope.
great.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That's so
it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, your number 2.
Okay. My number 2 is Mission Impossible.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
it's
great.
that good.
Yeah.
It's that good.
Is that just because, not just because, but because it's fresh
Well,
in
it was
your
a
mind?
great. It
you're
was a
thinking-
great television theme, and television themes in the '60s. That's another podcast. Television themes in the '60s were
TV themes in general.
incredible,
Yeah.
really good. So many to mention in America and in Britain and in Europe as well. Lots of brilliant television themes. Fantastic, as were some of the cinemas.
That's a good idea.
But you can play a game. Kevin MacLeod, the actor, he used to play this game. It used to be a party game they'd play about challenging each other about what television themes you would know.
Yeah.
He was very good.
There's a really good one on
He's
YouTube
the
where
master.
it's like guess the intro before a certain time or before they start singing or something like that. That's always a
I
good
can
game
do
as well.
all the gun barrels in the Bond film before he shoots the gun.
Nice.
I can name them all.
That's slightly obsessive too, but that's great.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't even need to see them.
I love it.
I can just the music before he shoots the gun. I can name them all.
And this summer, we're thinking about doing some form of Bond thing. I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
No, well, that's how nerdy I am.
That's good.
I spent time on that.
I'm like that for some things too, like we talked about wrestling before, but maybe not
I
as.
don't know if I'm proud of it. I
don't
know. Yeah. So that was my number 2.
All right,
yeah,
well, we've already
Mission
talked
Impossible.
about my number 1.
Which is?
It should be Jaws.
Jaws.
Jaws score, yeah. But yeah, I think it's the best one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous, isn't it?
Most recognisable, most imitated,
Yeah.
different emotions, one extreme to the other. Genuine fear,
I know.
along with
Yeah.
relief.
Along with probably the funniest theme tune
Absolutely.
as well, isn't it?
I mean, the story is obviously they said, write me something about a shark killer movie, and it starts off with these trumpets, and they're like, no, like a killer we're talking about here, and then John Williams is like, hang on, and then that's the one they use, and even people say that in audience reviews and stuff like that. Like I had no idea what I was about to watch from not only what you see but also what you hear. So I think it's the best one. And personal favourite too, probably because it's my favourite movie, but also just because when I still genuinely getting scared is the wrong word. As you know, I'm not a big horror guy or anything like that, right? I don't like. I guess Jaws is still considered a horror movie, but now it's a PG and stuff like that. It's a family film. It's a thriller now. But still, to this day, it makes me feel uneasy, man. Like, see when you hear the music and you see the shark and the blood, and no matter how many times I've seen it,
It's so good that you imagine music where there maybe isn't. I mean that as a compliment. There's that, that reverse zoom shot.
with Roy
It's
Scheider's
that
character.
I remember, but I don't know if it is there, a sort of like a sliding string sound.
Absolutely.
Is there?
Yes.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it goes back into the
that's-
score
yeah, it's
after
really
that.
good. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's one of the best moments, yeah.
yeah.
It's a Spielberg, not Spielberg, Hitchcock technique, right? The
Oh,
thriller-
absolutely. Yeah. I think so. I think it's an homage of sorts. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's just so well done.
Yeah.
The way it is. It's a textbook.
It's brilliant.
All those bits. in
Perfect
the film. But
Well, I don't need to ask what your first one is.
yeah, and for various reasons, a nostalgic very
Yeah.
much, but also because of that thing that it lends itself to the thing that you're watching, and it makes it all the more exciting because it's there.
Yeah.
And that's
We're talking about the Bond film.
yeah,
Bond thing, by the way.
that's surely why. I love what composers do for the visual media. I think they take it as almost the same as what people do when they stick a film through Photoshop, or not Photoshop, Final Cut or something like that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
grade it, or the way they cut it together, and music adds to that. What it should do, and the best composers are so skillful in the way that they do that, and they elevate the experience of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And I think that's an incredible skill, and a wonder, in fact. And yeah, for me, John Barry was the first guy I was aware of who did films, who made music for films, and
Yeah.
I listened to all of his stuff. I love all of his music, even the music he wrote way after he stopped doing films, and it was just symphonic music that he would write. It was beautiful, you know,
Yeah.
and he's got a style that you can recognise. You can almost more or less recognise a John Barry theme or piece
Yeah.
of music as soon as you hear it. So in that way, he is a auteur.
Yeah.
I suppose is that a word you'd use for a composer, but yeah. So I absolutely, hands down, I think he's my favourite composer of all time, and his music, I find it really moving, nostalgic, but I also find it's a perfect example of a piece of music, if it's not there, redefines the film. When it is there, it makes it what it is.
Absolutely.
And it's not. Okay, we're talking about the Bond theme. I frown with. I mean, I've liked some of the modern Bond songs, but I find the problem with a lot of the songs is they try and take the Bond theme and write a new song to the chords of the Bond theme.
Right.
And it's like, John Barry didn't do that. You know, Goldfinger is not the same chords as the Bond theme, but he
Right.
weaves the Bond theme into it.
Yeah.
Thunderball has got a wonderful moment where it goes from the tune of the song and it goes into the Bond theme. And it's a moment where you go, oh, yes. You know,
Yeah,
because
you feel rewarded.
because it goes there. It hasn't been there at all. And then it goes into it and you're like, oh, this is...
Yeah.
These are brilliant moments,
Yeah.
you know, the way that he does that. But Diamonds Are Forever, which is a very silly film. But the way that the two themes, the Bond theme and the theme of the film, the movie,
Yeah.
weave together is so brilliantly done. That taught me a lot about how to put two harmonies against the same chord structure and all this kind of thing. And I was just like, this is amazing, you know. And that's it sums up what I think a perfect theme tune should do. It makes the difference. It makes adds to the definition, and it just makes it special. And you sort of go, oh, it lifts you up.
Changes the film. And
Yeah, it's not the only one, but it's my favourite. Yeah,
Absolutely.